Hey guys, I just wanted to give you a little insight on the latest Ford Godzilla Pro550 harness that FuelTech came out with. They were kind enough to give me one of the first production ones that they got in. They got it out to me. Hey, overall, beautiful harness, all sealed up, nice wire loom, firewall grommet. It's basically split into the interior compartment side, firewall grommet, and then the engine side that you can see here. And, on the engine side, basically everything's, individually wrapped by component. Everything I got coming out the back here. We're basically looking at it. You got your 4 design coil connectors. 1, 2, 3, 4 going front to back. Now these are set up for a 23 and up smart coil 3-wire design. I'm used to using the LS coils on these on a 4-wire smart coil design. I feel potentially you could run a distribution ground off there for the 4th wire connection, which would just connect to the engine to dissipate any built up energy. But dealer's choice on that one. You also have your injector connectors. Now these are set up for EV1 style, which all of FuelTech's injectors that they sell are all EV1, so that makes sense. But standard coils on a Godzilla are your EV6, EV14 2-pin connections. Now, easy enough. I mean, they make adapters between EV1, EV6, 14. If you wanted to run those in there, or, hey, peel the wire back, repin it, reconnect it, with the right EV6 or EV14 connector, and, put it right back on there. So, of course, you've got your, left and right, 1 through 8 for, the Godzilla's V8 setup. You also, in the harness, get dual wideband connectors for your Nano or Nano Pro. 1 for the left, 1 for the right. Go right into the wideband sensors. So those are already pre-configured or pre-wired in there. You also get a flex fuel LS style connector for LS style flex fuel sensor. Great addition with the FuelTech to be able to measure the octane content of your fuel. You can have the tune set up to automatically adjust to whatever percentage octane you have in there. Or, hey, you can run a individual 93 tune, dump the tank, put E85 in it, switch over to an E85 tune, or just have your tune set up, to run either or. On this, you also get fuel pressure sensor. Now, the one thing that I've noticed on this harness, fuel pressure is fine. I run a aftermarket, 3-pin connection oval just like this. Low dollar motorsports is where I get my stuff from. But so fuel pressure, oil pressure, and coolant head temp are all GM style connections. Now, that works fine for me with the fuel pressure. But when you get back here to the oil pressure, it is the same type of oval 3-wire connection, but the Godzilla oil pressure connector is a 3-pin flat, which is the same as your crank sensor and your cam sensor. Now, they do have these. Of course, here's one for your crank Hall effect sensor, 3-pin flat, which is, like I said, the same for the oil pressure, the cam, and the crank. But for whatever reason, they have a GM style oil pressure connector on there. So I don't have a part number yet for the GM style that'll fit that hole, but hey, if worse comes to worse, you can just repin it with the right connector or the standard Ford connector, and you're back in business. And again, here's your other side wideband connector, and of course your other side injector and coil connectors. everything coming out the front here, you know, is again for all your different types of sensors. Of course, the one's going to be cylinder head temp, which this is a GM style connector. It's a little bit different 2-pin design than the Ford Godzilla cylinder head temp, but they do give you 2 additional wires that you could repin for the proper connector on that, which would be the exact same for your VCT connector. So cylinder head temp and VCT connector would be exactly the same. Now this harness does not come with the provisions for VCT, but they do give you extra inputs and outputs on the engine side. You have a yellow, 2 whites, a ground, and then 5-volt positive and 5-volt ground. They do provide the connector, and they do give you additional pins in the bag, so you can run, you know, anything on the engine side that you needed. Now, that's our cylinder head temp. You also get TPS connector if you wanted to run a carbureted style setup or anything drive-by cable that you would need a throttle position sensor for. They also give you intake air temp connector for a sensor if you wanted to run that. And these over here, power and ground connections are run out through the engine side for a standard, you know, engine mount battery, or you can do, you know, wire posts or whatever and run an additional connection out through the engine compartment if you wanted to hook that up. You do have throttle body connector, standard Ford, for your stock 87 millimeter Godzilla throttle body, or you can run your GT500 with the Ford Performance intake, 93 millimeter or 92 millimeter style connector throttle body on there. And then we got our cam Hall effect sensor, standard 3-wire flat, you know, that the Godzilla uses for the cam crank and oil pressure. But this one's going to come out. It actually mounts right between here on top of the balancer. And then again, we go back through, we got our grommet. The interior compartment side, you have 2 different connectors for all your additional inputs and outputs that they have in there. They do provide your male side connectors for that with the pins to add in any additional wires that you may need. You also have your Pro Injector driver cross connects. All right, all that's already taken care of. You do have a trio of relays, injector coil, and main harness. Everything's going to be on the interior for weather protection. You do get your 12-volt accessory switch wire in order to power on all your relays and turn on your 550 with the turn of a key or the switch itself. You do have your CAN A, CAN B connections, you know, that would come on the FT550. This is only really one of the connectors for the accessory pedal or accelerator pedal that I am not familiar with. So I had to give FuelTech a call, and they did let me know this is for a Bosch style. Looks like a generic, you know, drive-by-wire throttle pedal assembly. It is a Bosch part number 0280-755-051. Looked them up, find them anywhere on eBay, you know, for $70 to some of the aftermarket performance shops, up to $140. But I've always used the standard Mustang, you know, 2011 and up with a pedal bracket adapter from Scram Speed or wherever, you know, to mount into a Fox body. But, you know, hey, we're, whatever you need, that's what this connector was designed for. And then down here, you know, going back to all your displays, your FT550 or FT550 Lite, you have your dual Nano or Nano Pro connectors. All right, and then you have your FT550, 450, 550, or 550 Lite A and B connectors to go back to the heart of the operation. Now, I was in touch with a couple people from FuelTech, and they are coming out with a PDF file that explains all the extra inputs and outputs and what everything goes to. I know it's already established. I think they're reviewing it right now, not for official release yet. But they are also coming out with a update on version 5.7 of the software, that will include a base map for the Godzilla and this wiring harness connection. You know, where I believe most of the stuff will already be pre-input, according to this wire harness, you know, what injectors are placed where, you know, already laid out in a base map tune file. Looks like they already have, you know, the crank angles and stuff like that in there set up for it, at least according to the PDF. Now, again, this, you know, generic base file, you know, will require tuning, you know, but hey, it's definitely a positive start. Overall, with this harness, you know, hey, I've done a few of these custom wiring, and believe me, it's a lot of time, a lot of effort, for the money that they're asking for this harness. I believe it's in the $1,000 price range. Well worth it. I mean, I've done a couple of these and they are very time consuming. Plus, you know, the fact that you buy a standard, whatever, 10-foot A and B harness, you know, for an FT550, I think those are, you know, whatever, $250, plus all the extra connectors that you have to buy. And this one actually comes, you know, with the dual, wideband connectors, you know, already included and integrated in there. You know, those are going to be, you know, another $100 and some odd dollars. You know, you're already $300-400 just in wiring harnesses, and this one's already done. So, yeah, you might have to make a few changes, but, you know, overall for the time and effort that they put into it, definitely well worth it, and definitely a great jump start on, you know, doing your Godzilla conversion harness, you know, plus you get, you know, FuelTech, you know, FuelTech device and displays and all the support that comes with it, man. You can't beat it, I'm telling you. But if you guys got any questions, reach out. Thanks. Bye.